The short-term rental gold rush is finally coming to an end. Hosts are saying the bookings are falling off of a cliff, occupancy is way down. The world is coming to an end. We're going to talk about our thoughts on this. There's a wonderful article from MarketWatch that has some great data points, and we're going to share our thoughts so you guys know how to navigate these uncertain times moving forward.
We are the Real Estate Robinsons.
Hey guys, I'm Tony.
I'm Sarah.
And we are real estate investors who quit our day jobs by investing in short-term rentals, and we're here to show you how you can do the same. All right guys, so in today's video, there's a really cool article that came out from MarketWatch that talks about the state of investing in Airbnbs. And honestly, it paints a pretty like doom and gloom type outlook for all things Airbnb. So we thought it'd be cool for us to kind of share our thoughts on which part of that article we agree with and which parts maybe we disagree with, and just kind of add our own insights into the data that this MarketWatch article shared. And
I would say not just this article, but we've kind of been hearing that, I would say, since maybe springtime of 2022, people have been saying,
oh my gosh, like I'm not getting bookings, or I think travel's gonna go down.
Is short-term rentals the best strategy to invest in as an investor? So what do you think, Tony J?
Yeah, I mean, first, like, and we'll get into the article in a little bit here, but I think 2021 was a bit of an anomaly in the short-term rental space. A lot of folks, I think, still weren't comfortable going back to traditional hotels. There was a tremendous amount of pent-up demand from coronavirus, right? From COVID.
Travelers,
so, travel. People just wanted to get out and travel in a way that they had never really been able to do or really wanted to do before. So 2021,
during COVID,
during COVID. But I mean, even before, like the amount of demand that had been pent up because of COVID, we had never really seen anything like that.
Right.
So I wanted to share with you guys, we've officially launched our Airbnb coaching program. It's called Alpha Host Academy. We're still in beta mode. We're still kind of fleshing out all the kinks with the coaching program, but we're super excited. When you join Alpha Host Academy, it is a lifetime membership for those who join during the beta launch. Plus, you'll get a mix of one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and on-demand pre-recorded content. And our goal is to help you escape the rat race and replace your job within 5 years of joining the program. So if you're interested in booking a call to learn more about the program, head over to therealestaterobinsons.com/book a call.
And if you're not yet an Airbnb host, sign up using our link in the description. You'll get a cash bonus for signing up, and we'll get a small cash bonus for referring you as well.
There was a lot of things that happened in 2021 that made it, I think, a unique time. So there were probably a lot of investors that, and I don't even want to call them investors. There were a lot of dabblers that got into the space over the last year because they saw everyone else making money, and their thought was,
okay, man, why don't I just jump in and do it too?
So,
like literally think of the gold rush, you know, and everyone was like, what, there's gold over there? Let me go.
And most people went bankrupt trying to, panhandle or whatever it's called, like, sifting for gold. But anyway, my point is, two things really is my point. First, I think that the future demand for Airbnbs will probably be a little bit lower than what we saw in 2021, but all of the data still suggests that 2022 and 2023 will still be better than 2019, 2018, 2017, and all the years before the pandemic. And I'm sure at some point we'll get back to the levels that we saw in 2021. So that's the first thing. Second thing, I think we are going to see a lot of people who entered into this space with the wrong intentions
1,000%
leave this space. So there were a lot of people who, again, saw their friends, saw the people like us who are making a bunch of money, renting out properties on Airbnb, and they underestimated the level of commitment and work and business building that goes into making this profitable.
Yeah.
And they just thought, okay, cool, if I throw this ugly property up on Airbnb, I don't give good service, I don't have good amenities, I don't have a good customer experience, I'm going to still be able to make a ton of money. And maybe that was true post-COVID, immediately post-COVID. But as we get into a more normalized environment for Airbnb, you have to run your property like a true business. You have to invest in your property. You have to invest in good design. You have to invest in good photos. You have to invest in good amenities. You have to invest in good customer experience. And if you're not doing those things, I don't think you'll be able to survive long term. The third thing I'll say is that as these people who are dabbling in the world of Airbnb investing start to exit the space, I think we're going to see supply normalize a little bit because a lot of people are going to leave the platform. And I do think for people that are doing this professionally like we are, there will be, I think, a big opportunity to maybe scoop up some of these burnt out or overwhelmed operators that got into the space just looking for a quick book.
Yeah, or the stars in their eyes are no longer there, you know? But yeah, I would say you need to be super sharp as an operator to stay competitive. Yeah, we know there's been a tremendous increase. What are they saying? Like 20% increase in the supply of Airbnbs that are now available, that is a scary number to hear. But if you really think about it and you go on Airbnb and search in whatever market you're investing in, it still shows like a lot of really properties, you know? So again, these are the dabblers that just got these stars in their eyes with the gold rush of Airbnbs.
Right, so one of the first kind of data points mentioned in this article is, it says that supply increased 23.2% year over year. So if you look at September of 2022 versus September 2021, supply is up over 20%. It also says that occupancy for active listings decreased by 1% year over year. So occupancy for properties in 2022 was 1% lower than occupancy for properties in 2021. And the last thing it says is that occupancy in 2022, even though it's 1% lower than 2021, is still 11% higher than 2019. So this kind of goes back to what we were saying before, is that even though 2022 is down ever so slightly from 2021, when you look at historically, we're still on an upward trend for demand here. Now, I think some people, again, might be nervous about a 20% increase, and I'm sure some markets are probably being hit harder than others. Like it said in Houston itself saw a 40% increase in listings. I would think maybe a market like Joshua Tree that we're in probably saw maybe more than 20% as well.
Right.
But there's still plenty of other markets out there that maybe saw 5%. So that 20% is across, the platforms in general. So some markets are probably more impacted or less impacted than that.
Okay, so another part of the article, this is a quote. It says, "I had zero experience in real estate," Malitsky said. "I thought I was the most successful entrepreneur of all time. I thought it was my ticket to building equity and making money. But after bringing in about $60,000 since he started renting his property out on Airbnb, he said his bookings fell off of a cliff in August. His property hasn't been booked for any dates in November and beyond, not even for the start of the ski season in December and January, which is a major tourist attraction for the Denver region." What are your thoughts?
I think, and the Malitsky, that's the host that they were talking about in this article, I think exactly what he said. I had zero experience in real estate, and I thought this was my ticket to building wealth, essentially. I think there are a lot of new hosts that had that same intention, that same idea, but I'm not picking on this specific person, but A, I don't know what this person's listing looks like. B, I don't know how they approached their building their business, right? Like did they really invest a lot of time into finding the right property? Did they invest a lot of time into designing it the right way? Did they do all the things that we teach you to do on this channel to make your property successful? It's hard to say.
I will add though, he did mention that he hasn't had any dates booked for the ski season. We have noticed that on our end as well. That's a big difference from this year versus last year. We have a lot, like almost all of our bookings now are last minute bookings.
Yeah, our booking lead time has decreased year over year. Our revenue for a lot of our properties are still in line, slightly worse or slightly better than last year. But what we are seeing is that pretty much across the board, the booking lead time has decreased. So that means people are waiting
like the week of or 2 weeks
before.
Instead of he's saying he doesn't have any bookings for December and January. We find that to be true for ourselves as well. Maybe last year we did, but this year, yeah, and we're not tripping because we've seen that consistently still fill up our calendar. Just the lead time window has been smaller.
Yeah, and like one thing to comment on that, right? We've had to change our pricing strategy because of this, right? Like realizing that the booking lead time is decreasing means we have to change how we price our properties. Before, we would have maybe our last minute discounts start to kick in around like 21 days, right? Because the booking lead time was 30 days out or sometimes 40 days for our bigger properties. Now we're trying to have our last minute discounts kick in somewhere around that 7 to 14 day time frame where we start getting more aggressive with the pricing decreases. There's some changes that you can make based on information to still keep your property competitive.
But before we keep moving, we'd really appreciate it if you guys could give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, hit the bell for notifications. Every new subscriber really does mean a lot to us, and we have a goal to get to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year.
Doesn't seem like it's gonna gonna happen unless this video goes viral. So help us out, please.
Tell your friends, tell your grandma, tell your auntie.
We've also got a totally free download for all of our subscribers. So if you head over to therealestaterobinsons.com, we've put together a free tool that helps you analyze properties that you're considering purchasing as a short-term rental.
We've also got an event coming up. It's the STR Summit. And if you missed the first one that happened back in September in Newport Beach, you really missed out. So let me tell you about it. It's a 3-day event focused all on teaching you how to buy, manage, and scale your very own short-term rental portfolio. So we will literally walk you through all the steps you need to follow to get started. And we have so many great speakers lined up to bring you even more value. Like I said, the last event was such a hit. We have so much amazing feedback from the attendees. So we can't wait to replicate this. And this time it's gonna be in Orlando, Florida on January 20th through the 22nd. So if you're interested, which if you're watching this video, it tells me you are, so head over to strsummit.com and grab your early bird tickets before prices go up soon.
All right, so there's another piece of the article that says overall demand across both Airbnb and Vrbo is still up 24% year over year. So we saw about a 23% increase in available listings, but we also saw a 24% increase in demand. So it's almost 1 for 1. And again, if my hypothesis is true that a lot of these dabblers are going to eventually vacate the platform, what does that mean? It means we're going to see a continual rise in demand, but the supply will start to shrink as some of these people that realize Airbnb investing is not for them start to sell their portfolio off. So I think there's still some silver linings in this article that make me hopeful for the future. And I think, like, I was just on stage yesterday and I shared the story with someone. And I think as real estate investors, we have to lengthen our horizon for investing. I think a lot of folks, as soon as they buy an investment property, they want the craziest cash on cash return on day one.
Yeah, it's like shiny object syndrome. Like, I got the property. Is that the same thing?
I mean, more so like impatience.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like...
I felt that,
And a lot of people do,
yeah.
Right? But I think if you can say, and here's a story, let me take a step back. Here's a story that led me to that. Someone told me that they saw this Jeff Bezos interview, right? Jeff Bezos, the second richest man on earth who started Amazon. Someone asked Jeff what he felt made Amazon successful. They said, Jeff, was it your engineers? And Jeff was like, no. Jeff, was it the design of Amazon? No. Jeff, was it your logistics and your speed to ship things? And Jeff was like, no. And they said, well, Jeff, what is it? What made Amazon so successful? And his response was this. He said, what made Amazon so successful is that we had patient capital. We could invest into a program and not need to get a return for 10 years, whereas our competitors would invest and they would want a return in 12 months or 36 months. And because we were continually able to invest with this longer time horizon, when you looked up 2 decades later, we had way more resources, way more money invested in so much more infrastructure because we invested that money early on with a longer time horizon. When I heard that, it really resonated with me with our own real estate investing business. And it's like,
man, if we can take that same concept and apply it to what we do here, how powerful will that be?
So for us, if we're buying real estate today, even if there's a slight downturn over the next 12 to 18 months because of the economy and the recession and maybe a softening of demand, well, I'm not just investing for the next 12 to 18 months.
Right.
I'm investing for the rest of my life. And if I buy a property today, will that property be a good investment 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now? And almost always the answer will be yes. ADRs will go up, right? Occupancy and demand will probably go up. Even if those things stay flat, you still get appreciation of the properties that you own, debt pay down, the tax benefits. There are so many other things that come along with investing in real estate outside of just the cash flow that I think we should all start to think about as well.
Okay, another piece of the article, it says, Jim Ewing is the Airbnb host whose Facebook post about his lack of bookings went viral when someone else posted it on Twitter and said, the Airbnb bust is upon us. He started listing his Palm Springs property, so we know it's Palm Springs, last October, and told MarketWatch he is looking to get out and is interviewing for long-term tenants at his property now. He had about 80% occupancy until April. Then in May, they went from 80% to 0.
What?
What do you think about that?
And what do you think about that?
How okay, we are investing in Joshua Tree, which is maybe 40 minutes from
But two very different markets.
okay. But people still go to Palm Springs, you know, we know that. We have friends that go, like, it's not a weird place, you know, it's a good market to have a property. So for them to go from 80% to 0, I think that is very bizarre and specific to something about their property and as a host. To 0, like, that's weird, you know? It's like we said, our booking lead time has changed. Yes, we're aware of that, but that drop, like, that's legit falling off a cliff with their occupancy. And that to me is just like, I don't think that is happening with the masses, you know? That is something specific to this host and their property. So I wish they shared their listing so we can dig into it a little bit more, you know? But yeah, I just thought that was an interesting add into this article. And I just want you guys watching to know that that is not a normal thing to happen by any means, right? Like, and if it does happen to you, reevaluate everything that you have at your property and on your listing, because that is very odd.
And so I guess what we'll leave you guys with is a couple of things, right? First, I do think that as more hosts come onto the platform, some will be dabblers who eventually fall off, but there will be a percentage of those that stick around. And as the number of hosts increase on the platform, so will the level of competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what that means for you is you have to find a way to become an ever-evolving and ever-improving host on the platform. And honestly, I think at the end of the day, it's the guesser will win because they will get better products from hosts like us. Like we had another video where we said before we never really offered coffee or like body wash, and now we're doing that, right?
Yeah.
Because before we didn't have to, but now as the platform changes, those are things that we will have to do. So I think understand that competition is coming, but you have to ask yourself if you're up to face that competition and invest in yourself as an investor to get better. The second thing that I think will be important is adding more unique features and just structures to your portfolio. We have quite a few tiny homes in Joshua Tree that all do relatively well, and we're looking for opportunities to add more unique structures to our portfolio, right?
Yeah.
Can we do tree houses? Can we do domes? Can we do castles? Can we do like whatever it is, right? But I think that is the one thing that will always allow your property to stand out above the competition, because anyone can go out and buy a single family house, decorate it nicely, and put it on Airbnb.
Yeah.
It takes a different kind of person to secure a piece of land and go through the permitting and the build out process to construct a, you know, like for example, I met a guy yesterday that has container homes that are suspended off the side of a mountain.
What?
It's like what level of dedication to his craft did he have to see that kind of project through? Right. And I can guarantee that his listing's probably almost always booked.
Yeah.
So look for ways to continue to add unique experiences and unique structures to your portfolio, and I think long term that'll help you remain more competitive as well.
Great advice, Tony J. Cool. Well, that's it for today, guys. We hope you found this video helpful. If you have any comments or questions, please drop them down below.
Yeah, and if you guys are on Instagram, I'm at Tony J. Robinson. My lovely wife is at Sarah Rad. If you're on TikTok, follow us at The Real Estate Robinsons. Well, that's it for today, guys. I'm Tony.
I'm Sarah.
And we are
The Real Estate Robinsons.